Duhamel is known for his dynamic role in the TV series Las Vegas. He's also known for Transformers 1 and 2 and Life as We Know It. Julianne Hough captivated audiences in Dancing with the Stars, as we all know, and she wowed us in the remake of Footloose. Please welcome Josh Duhamel and Julianne Hough. First of all, you all look beautiful.
Thank you
very much, as do you.
I was actually in Transformers 3, too. That's how little I was actually in it.
Perfect.
You don't even mention it anymore.
We don't. Yeah, I know, right? I have to say, I saw the film and I loved it. I was emailing with Julianne right afterwards and saying, I'm crying my eyes out.
It's a true story.
It is. And it was so beautiful. And it was so funny because as I was preparing for this, because I'm like the ultimate nerd, I thought, you know, I have to like take notes. And so I was trying to enjoy the film, but then I kept scribbling down notes. So I figured I would share these with you.
Please
Okay.
do.
So... and I can't give away certain things, so there were certain things that absolutely broke my heart and tore me into little teeny pieces. The little envelopes is all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah! Ah!
Nothing like a good letter.
Like we
melted.
established earlier, you know, it's a running theme in his stories,
Yeah.
are the letters, and I guess
They work,
it all makes sense to me now.
right?
Which, by the way, like we were talking earlier because we watched this whole thing happen. How long? 20 minutes prior to us sitting here. We're like, what are we gonna do? This was like the most inspiring thing. By listening to Nicholas talk, I'm like wanting to go write a book now. You know, and Marty and Wick. I mean, we're like, what are we gonna talk about?
Well, and by the way, we should probably take Maria with us everywhere we go.
I know, everywhere, because you're like our biggest cheerleader, so thank you. This has been
Of course. Well, you know, and it was funny because I just wrote Josh and Jules, so charming and cute. And you guys were. You had such great chemistry. We were talking about this in the casting and that sparkle in your eyes. And you guys played these roles
What was that?
with such like warmth and depth. And I wrote here, Josh, such warmth. And so these are just like my little scribbles, but it's true. You guys just like oozed like something I haven't seen in a film in a long time.
Well-
Chemistry, but like obviously, you know, the director and you guys all together made it such a patiently beautiful film. And I know you were saying you don't put a lot on the page as far as writing, as far as lines for these guys. So
I think a lot
kudos
of
to
it-
you guys
I think
for
a lot of that has to do with Lassa. You know, I think any film is a reflection of the director. And this movie, and any movie that you see of Lassa's, there's a certain patience, like you say, and there's a certain tone, and he does that really beautifully. That's a big reason why I wanted to do this movie, is because I knew that this would have a certain amount of sentiment without being overly sentimental, you know, and it would be a real story about two people falling in love, and he does that really patiently, like you say. So he really trusted us to just kind of not force and just let it happen. Less is more, and trust him in the editing room.
yeah, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, right?
I've seen an earlier version of it. I haven't seen the most recent one.
You have a hard time watching yourself, huh?
Yeah, in front of a lot of people I do.
Okay.
I like to, because I'm very critical. And so I get embarrassed if it's taken out of context, or if I don't know.
Julianne, have you seen it?
Highly insecure.
I saw an early draft of it too, so an early version. But I'm the same way. I mean, I sat there with my team, you know, my manager and my publicist and, you know, my friends, and there's certain moments too where you're like, you just get lower and lower and lower. Like you're like looking over. I know a lot of the sexy time scenes, definitely. With my manager next to me, who I've known since I was 18, I was like moving farther and farther away from him, so uncomfortable. But no, I think the thing that I enjoyed the most was the friendship that not only did we make, but, you know, Dave and Kobe and Lassa and Marty and Wick and everybody, Nick, and this is the first time for me I've felt like a freedom to use each other's energy and friendship, and again, like knowing that it's a safe place to play. And I think that's what was so great about this film, is there was so much room to do that.
Yeah, and you guys said there was a lot of improv, and obviously you mentioned that you don't kind of write everything out on the page. So did that create a lot of pressure for you guys?
I think that's a lot of Lhasa too, because he likes everything to be so real that, and almost, I watched his movie, My Life as a Dog, and on the director's cut, and he did like these special features, he always says that he likes to exhaust the actors. So like he'll make them do scenes over and over and over again, and kind of like improvise this one, and then do, the scripted version, and then by the time you like over exhaust the actors, it's just super natural and super real, and they're just talking and having a conversation. So that's where I think a lot of it, we got to say a lot of what we wanted, and then we added some of the script. And
well, you guys worked 2 weeks before I did, so I was sitting there hearing, getting feedback on the process that he worked. And I'm not used to going into a movie not
knowing what we're doing.
Like normally it's like, okay, I learned my lines, and then you don't sway too far from that. They're like, hey, you just say whatever you want. I'm like, what do you mean you say whatever you want? But what it really did, what he does is I've never felt so trusted by a director. He really lets you fly and lets you go. And I would come to him with ideas, and a little thing with the door, little things like that. Because to go back to My Life as a Dog, there was the guy that was randomly hammering the top of the rooftop. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but little things like that don't necessarily mean anything, but they're little pieces of life that everybody can relate to, that I think he does really beautifully, and he allowed us to give ideas, and some of that stuff made it in the movie.
But I love that, because the door thing, it's like a running theme throughout the whole movie, and I remember seeing it for the first time, like, it worked!
But whose idea was the door?
It was Josh.
Well, it was just one, I talked to him about finding something that really didn't mean anything, that would add a sense of texture, like you say, a little slice of life that everybody can kind of relate to. Everybody understands a stupid door that keeps getting stuck.
Yeah.
And this store was a little rickety anyway, so why not use the door so it could be a little bit of a running story throughout. And not only did he do that, but then he used the Jeep door getting stuck. That door just stuck. And he ended up using that in the movie too, so it all kind of kept going.
Were there